Welcome to episode Revelation 21, which I'm entitling as the substrata to Revelation 19. I would recommend watching that video first. It's the one about still life and different perspectives on the same subject matter, the same topic, and what it reveals. But there's a far deeper level which reflects this being the year of the wood dragon, wood representing the strength in nature and what nature is showing in that video. There are four main characters with different perspectives of the still life: Mr. South, Mr. East, Mr. North and Mr. West, that come into that video in that order. But maybe the most astute of you may have noticed that although we started with the south, it then moved clockwise to the east, which is alluding to the duality of this reality. Mr. South was not prepared to budge from that view of the world. It was reasonably good lighting, could see everything that could be seen, but missed a lot that couldn't be seen. For example, had Mr. South used his imagination and seen those two lemons as two eyes, it was referencing there's two ways to look at things. Likewise for Mr. East. If you look at the image shown to Mr. East, the light is coming straight at that perspective, and the light is giving the illumination which shows the contrast. So whilst Mr. East could see the fruit and the leather purse, he totally missed the contrast of the shadows, and with a very different perception of what was being observed from that of Mr. South. Now, Mr. North can see the position from the point of view of the other two and is not in disagreement, but what he sees first is the purse, not the nature. So Mr. North is sort of heading for a very false, fake wealth north from that perspective. Mr. West, who is seeing things from the perception of where the light is coming in, is at least seeing a more abstract picture, a more revealing picture about what is being shown by reading it from left to right and seeing it's gone from nature to material wealth. And that material wealth has involved the sort of dictating of and trying to control what is natural. Now, if you cast your mind back, or if you haven't seen them, there was a series of videos I made around about July or August last year, showing what is revealed when you strip wood back to reveal its grain. So, metaphorically speaking, the table that I said represents the earth is a sort of representation of a reset, because that piece of furniture was given a new lease of life. So it is like a reset. So there's some of the more deeper aspects to it, and also in the role of the tutor and setting up the scene on the table that represents the earth, representing the creation of something, of a picture, but then having that highest perspective to be able to see it's a smiley face, but also being able to show that humanity is very much focused in the wrong place, on the material wealth rather than the spiritual wealth. And if you think about it, of the four, neither Mr. South, Mr. East, Mr. North, or Mr. West said, hold on, I'm going to think out the box here, I'm going to move position, because not one of those four pupils in that story was told they couldn't move position. All four of them assumed that's where they had to see things from, and it didn't occur to one of them. Although Mr. West, who is facing where the sun rises, he's facing east, had at least some sort of inkling. You could say he's the one that represents the one that's on the spiritual path. He's coming from the west, which represents the dying sun, because the Christ consciousness in the chakra system is in the solar plexus. That is the place of the sun. That's what solar plexus means. But with a Kundalini rising, and the same with everything, you have to get to the root of things. Requires a fall to the root chakra and then a rising again. So the perspective of Mr. West is at least in the right direction to be able to see the rising sun and all that that brings with it. So that was all deliberate, and I can't say that was consciously planned for that Revelation 19, but reflecting upon that video after creating it, reflecting on the roles I'm playing in that video as the tutor, the four pupils, the creator of the world in which that drama was played out, and so on. It was all down to I. Now, the I, in the sense of the physical individual that put that scene together, but the deeper core essence message that is coming through this vessel. Life is an absolute wonder, and more things at this level are being revealed. It was the 14th of June last year that I launched the WAB-ART Productions channel. I wanted to express an enthusiasm and contribute in some way in the celebration of the 200th anniversary of the birth of the composer Anton Bruckner. Now, I could have approached a theatre or a concert hall or an orchestra or something and said, I have an idea, but probably, especially with the larger orchestras, they've already got something planned. I would have come away dejected, feeling rejected, and would have got nowhere. As Wagner says in one of his essays, our efforts will come to naught whilst money is in control of things. Unfortunately, the world of arts is very much under the control of the purse, which is such a great shame. But it is what it is, but it doesn't mean we can't be creative. So the impetus for starting the WAB-ART Productions channel was to be able to express and share my enthusiasm for the music of Anton Bruckner. But out of that has come something far greater, because Bruckner in turn was influenced by Wagner, by Beethoven, by Mozart, by Schubert. And then you start looking into, well, who influenced them, and you start tracing it back. And I'm coming at this from the perspective that's emerged out of this is the spiritual awakening of humanity as expressed through the history of the Germanic symphony. But with all composers, you get a far better feel if you not just listen to the symphonies, but you listen to the chamber music, the solo piano works, the operas, the choral pieces, any other compositions that composer may have created, and it builds up a wonderful picture. And of course, music is such a beautiful inspiration, but I'm finding so much wealth in what is unfolding out of all of this. It's just such a indescribable joy and wonder in what the art holds, what it reveals, what it invokes, and in turn what can be imparted from that and shared. So I suppose in a way, as much as anything else, this video is a sort of an introduction to the WAB-ART Productions channel, how it started and how it's developing. So you'll find over a period of time I'm adding more and more playlists. So I'm putting together a orchestral works of Beethoven playlist, which would be the symphonies and the overtures. But I would also like to explore the chamber music and things. Eventually there will be playlists for many of the Germanic composers, or from the Germanic speaking world, shall we say, from roughly about 1750 up to 1902, and what is revealed in the development of the symphony as expressed through that central part of Europe. And what I feel comes out of that, it was a rather rapid unfolding in arts and culture in that part of the world that is I feel in time history will view that sort of 200-year time period as being something akin to the Greek era and sort of seen the same way. It's certainly something Wagner was striving for with the creation of the total artwork, where not one of the arts is greater than the other. They're all seen on an equal level. And the beauty of art is the interaction with the recipient of the art and how it can affect you, what it reveals. So that really is the overview of what WAB-ART Productions is about. And of course, with this Bruckner celebration year, there will be more discussions on Anton Bruckner and his compositions and the profound messages that come through in his music in a way that I understand best, that I can relate to, and it really seems to speak something that I feel I can impart into words, or at least attempt to, because words are quite inadequate ultimately. But we have to use the tools we've got, and going back to the still life, Revelation 19, it's like, well, what have we got we can use as a still life? Well, we've got some fruit, and we'll put a contrast with a leather purse, just to emphasize the contrast perception of this duality. But really it comes down to the same as art. It's being the observer. And you'll find there is, in everything, there is an art in everything, and therefore there is something to be gained from what's the words I'm looking here for? Internalizing what you feel from what you're observing. If everything in this external reality is a reflection, what is the message that is trying to be imparted to us that we are seeing or not seeing? It comes down to ultimately, which is all part of the discovery of who we truly are, the true essence inside us that is in all of us. And I feel art is a perfect commentary by man as that bridge between the spiritual and the material to impart messages. After all, art is creation. If it's coming from the heart, I feel that it comes through in the art, if you're receptive to it. So the WAB-ART Productions channel, there's various playlists. A lot of it are conductors, a lot of it are mostly compositions of Anton Bruckner, but there are other ones I've added list who's figured quite highly in recent months, and not least on putting out a thought of, I wish I could hear more compositions of France Liszt on the radio, and that has indeed happened. And I must also mention that what I spoke about what I found was revealed in the first piano concerto of Liszt. I was sitting in my room just finishing a cup of coffee, and it happened to come on the radio, so that was a response from the universe. I'd got more to hear more Liszt on the radio, and it's like, ah yes, piano concerto number 1. But this time I was hearing it in a way I'd not heard it before. I was spellbound. It's like, well, we're not going up the hill at the moment. I need to hear this all the way through. And this picture unfolded in the mind of, basically, I described it as like Neville Goddard speaking on a platform to the public and imparting wisdom of basically saying that you are God. Imagination is God, and when you use your imagination, you can create. And this is the big thing that's being hidden from humanity. It's always the last place you look, and I'll talk about this in another video. But certainly the life of Anton Bruckner, I feel, actually ultimately reflects this. Excuse me. As well as revealing so much more, and that I feel is so profound. And it's more confirmation of, is it possible to decode from music that has no words, is it possible to gain and transliterate into words? And yes, I feel very much it is. It's not the first confirmation I've had of this. But that is something for another video. So I just wanted to go that little bit deeper into what was revealed in Revelation 19 with a still life. So I hope you have enjoyed this, and maybe it's given you a blueprint to unlock deeper levels of understanding in far more than just the still life. It's just a representation, but it's the blueprint of that and how that can be applied. I feel you won't be disappointed on the revelations that come to you by doing that with so much, just observing, reflecting on things. It's soul food, so just like physical food, allow it time to digest, chew it over, and reflect upon what you're observing, and just allow the pictures to come in the mind, and it will reveal so much. If you want proof of you are the universe, you know everything, but you've just forgotten, I feel this is a perfect example, because things will just come in mind pictures with solutions to things you think might be a problem or an obstacle to overcome. The key is to not think, to just allow the thought wave to flow, and it will come as an idea, as a mind picture. Right, I'm going to say love to you all, and hopefully that has given you even more.